England has a way of hiding its darkest chapters in plain sight, beneath cobblestones walked by millions of tourists, beneath city squares where children play, beneath heritage sites that sell tea and postcards at the entrance. There are places in this country where people were killed in public, where crowds gathered not in horror, but in entertainment, where the condemned spent their final hours listening to the crowd outside begin to assemble. Some of these sites no longer exist in any recognizable form, the buildings torn down, the gallows dismantled, the ground paved over and built upon until nothing visible remains. But something, it seems, does not always leave with the architecture. These are 7 execution sites in England, and what lingers at each of them is harder to explain away than most people are comfortable admitting. Number 7. Gallows Green, Chelmsford, Essex. To visitors today, Chelmsford is a quiet cathedral city, market stalls, coffee shops, commuters heading into London, entirely unremarkable. What most people do not know is that this city was once the centre of England's witch trial, fever. Between 1566 and 1645, more accused witches were hanged here than anywhere else in the country. The trials were not a single event. They were a series of panics, each feeding the next. Women almost always were arrested and hanged on Gallows Green at the edge of town. The first was Agnes Waterhouse in 1566, the first person in England executed for witchcraft under the new statutes. She was 63 years old. The green no longer exists. The land was absorbed into the expanding town long ago. But former residents have described an unease around the old site they struggle to put into words. A feeling of being observed from the direction of nothing at all. Number 6. Tower Green, Tower of London. Most visitors to the Tower of London spend their time looking at the crown jewels. Few stop at the small cobbled square just beyond them. Tower Green, an unassuming patch of ground enclosed by ancient stone with a modest memorial at its centre. Easy to walk past without understanding what it marks. This is where Anne Boleyn, Catherine Howard, and Lady Jane Grey were executed. Not public spectacles, private killings carried out at dawn, attended by only a handful of witnesses, which in some ways made them worse. Tower Green was considered a mercy, reserved for those of high rank whose public humiliation was deemed unsuitable. The yeoman warders who live within the tower walls have reported the apparition of Anne Boleyn walking these grounds for centuries, one of the most consistently documented hauntings in Britain. The ground is still walked every day. Number 5. Tyburn Tree, London, now Marble Arch. If you stand at Marble Arch today, you are standing at one of the busiest intersections in London. Tourists photograph it without knowing what stood here for 6 centuries before it. Tyburn was London's principal place of execution for nearly 600 years, a permanent triple gallows, large enough to hang 24 people simultaneously. Executions here were enormous public events. Viewing stands were built and tickets sold. Vendors moved through the crowd. People brought their children. Between 1196 and 1783, an estimated 50,000 people were hanged at Tyburn. The site is now a small traffic island. There is a plaque, most people never notice it, 50,000 people, beneath the traffic island. If you want to see more places like this, places history has tried to bury beneath the ordinary, subscribe now and turn on notifications. There is much more to come. Number 4. York Knavesmire. On the southern edge of York sits one of England's best-known racecourses. On race days, thousands fill the grandstands. For over a century before horse racing came here, this was where York hanged its condemned. The gallows were known as the three-leg mare, a permanent structure built for efficiency. The most famous execution here was Dick Turpin, hanged in April 1739. Contemporary accounts say he walked to the gallows composedly, bowing to the crowd. Those same accounts record that Turpin had hired his own mourners, that he paid men to weep for him because there was no one who would do it without payment. The gallows are long gone. The racecourse stands in their place. Former groundskeepers have spoken of an unease in certain parts of the course before dawn, not a sound or a shape. Simply the sense that the ground beneath them has not finished with what it holds. Number 3. Lancaster Castle. Lancaster Castle sits on a hill above the city, striking, well-preserved, and parts of it still function as an active court today. Visitors tour the dungeons, the courtrooms, the condemned hold, but Lancaster Castle cannot be separated from one of the most disturbing episodes in English legal history. In 1612, 20 people from the Lancashire moorlands were arrested for witchcraft, tried here, and 10 of them hanged on the moor outside these walls, the Pendle Witches. What history tends to understate is how ordinary they were, poor families, old grudges between neighbours, and at the centre of it a 9-year-old girl named Janet Device, whose testimony sent her own mother and siblings to the gallows. She was 9 years old. The drop room, where the condemned stood before the trapdoor fell, still exists. Tour guides take visitors through it regularly. Several have reported being unable to stay in the room for more than a few minutes, not from fear, they say, from something they cannot name. Number 2. Newgate Prison, now the Old Bailey. For over 700 years, Newgate Prison stood in the heart of London. By every historical account, a place of sustained suffering, overcrowded, disease constant, cruelty embedded in its daily routine. When public hangings outside ended in 1868, executions moved inside a private scaffold in the yard. The process continued behind closed walls until demolition in 1902. In its place, the Central Criminal Court was built on the same ground. Some of the original foundations incorporated into the new structure. The burial ground where the executed were interred across the centuries was never fully cleared. Beneath a working courtroom, the evidence left in the ground. Barristers who have worked here for years describe certain corridors where the temperature drops and the atmosphere of the building shifts. Not dramatically, subtly. The way a space feels different when you understand what it is standing on. The trials continue above the ground. The buried were never given one. Number 1. Execution Dock, Wapping. The Thames at Wapping is quiet now. Converted warehouses, riverside flats, the sound of water. For more than 400 years, this was where England hanged its pirates. A gallows was built at the low tide mark. The condemned were walked across the mudflats and hanged in full view of passing ships with a deliberately shortened rope to extend the death. After death, they were not removed. The law required the body remain until 3 full tides had washed over it, 3 tides, over 2 days at the river's edge. For those the Crown wished to make an example of, the body was then caged on the bank for months, sometimes years. Captain William Kidd was hanged here in 1701. His caged body remained on the riverbank for 3 years, positioned so that every ship entering the Thames would pass it. The last execution took place in 1830. Site is now a pub car park. People walk past it every day. These 7 places are not unusual. That may be what is most unsettling. England is dense with sites like these, beneath market squares and car parks and institutions still operating today. History does not disappear because the buildings have changed. Some of these places carry a plaque, most carry nothing. They are absorbed back into the ordinary landscape, walked over by people who have no idea what they are standing on. The question is not whether something remains at these places. The question is what it means that we stop talking about it.